Scandalous Secrets, 7 more WWE superstars with controversial past. Let's watch.
Not everyone jumps from college directly to the WWE. For some, the road to the big show, not that big show, can be a long and arduous one, where you do all kinds of interesting things to make a name for yourself. I'm Senior Siete for 7 Wrestling. Let's take a look at 7 WWE superstars with controversial pasts. Now, before we get into this, we appreciate your support, so if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and figure 4 leg lock that notification bell. Also, know that we aren't judging these wrestlers. Not all wrestling needs to be the PG kind you see in the WWE. Much like movies have a wide variety of content, so too should our sports entertainment. Number 1. L.A. Knight. 46 different men have served as the commander-in-chief of our great nation, but only one of them has held the lofty position of WWE Hall of Famer. I'm of course talking about Donald J. Trump, and everybody probably assumes that Donald's favorite wrestler is Bobby Lashley, the muscular specimen who helped Donald keep his trademark coif when he put it on the line against Vince McMahon in a hair versus hair match at WrestleMania 23. But nah. While the Donald has a few children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, Melania, Eric, Tiffany, Barron, there's one we don't hear about very frequently, none other than El Hijo de Trump. Yeah, that's right. And on several occasions, El Hijo de Trump has stepped into the wrestling ring to defend his father's honor, most notably at the Coastal Championship Wrestling Cinco de Mayhem show on May 5th, 2017. And while it seems like El Hijo de Trump does share his father's flowing blonde locks, over the course of the match it was revealed to be a wig. And once we saw this talent without his actual hair, he bore a striking resemblance to a certain WWE megastar. Okay, LA Knight probably actually isn't Donald Trump's son, because if he was, he would have done much better under Vince McMahon. Number 2, Candace LeRae. What? How could Candace LeRae be on this list? Her and Johnny Gargano are so wholesome. She literally comes to the ring wearing pixie wings. Her logo is a friggin' cupcake. But yeah, like a lot of indie wrestlers, she did some intergender wrestling on the indies, which isn't a huge deal because even WWE occasionally dabbles in some intergender matches. And she did some hardcore wrestling on the indies once again. WWE occasionally dabbles in some hardcore matches, but our dear beloved Poison Pixie participated in an intergender hardcore match that still has us wincing in discomfort. It took place at the July 27th, 2014 Pro Wrestling Guerrilla show in a guerrilla warfare match between LeRae and her partner Joey Ryan against the Young Bucks. Now for starters, she was on the receiving end of a super kick from Matt Jackson that was done with a shoe that was covered in thumbtacks. Yikes, I tell you, it left her forehead looking like a friggin' saltine.
Let me see.
And as payback, she would hit him with what was affectionately known as the ballplex. That's where you grab a fella by his nether regions and toss him over your head. But seeing as this was a hardcore match, LeRae would proceed to toss a handful of thumbtacks down the front of Matt Jackson's tights before hitting him with that lewd maneuver. Ow.
Her face is red.
Man, are we sure these are the same people? Number 3, Bubba Ray Dudley.
He really kicked her with thumbtacks.
Why is Bubba even on this list of WWE wrestlers? Well, he did have a role in WrestleMania, so we thought it'd be cool to include him here. Sometimes we play a little loose with the rules here. And yeah, while we could include him for some of his legendary obscenity-laced tirades he went on during his time in the original ECW, that just didn't feel right, considering how fond of swear words our current final boss tends to be. No, what we're talking about, and know that we're going to try to speak very vaguely about it so as not to lose our monetization, is a certain cameo that Mr. Dudley and his buddy Tommy Dreamer made in a adult film. It's true, and also very odd. Midway through what seems like a very run-of-the-mill movie, the camera cuts to the ECW originals, Tommy Dreamer and Bubba Ray Dudley, stopping by to say hello. It isn't part of any kind of plot point. It definitely interrupts the action, and I can't imagine it adding to the allure of the moment for anyone who is watching it for inspirational reasons. Man, I'm really stretching my vocabulary here, trying to keep this clean. Anyhow, I debated including this on the list because, every other segment involves an actual moment that takes place in actual wrestling, But I felt the need to include this because Bubba Ray is absolutely wearing some kind of ECW branded jean jacket. So if anything, he was there as representative of the company. And that wasn't even the worst thing Tommy Dreamer's ever done. I mean, remember when he drank The Undertaker's tobacco spit? Ugh. Number 4, Shotsy. A lot of big name talents got their start with some legendarily bad names. I mean, The Rock was once known as Flex Cavana, Triple H was originally called Terror Rising, Darren Drozdov was known as Puke. Actually keep that one in mind for later. And Shotzi Blackheart, well, maybe that's not the greatest name ever, but it fits her, I guess. But before we get to the name that she went by before making it to the WWE, we probably need to explain a few things. First of all, Rick and Scott Steiner are one of the greatest tag teams of the 90s and early aughts. Originally managed by Missy Hyatt, their high-impact style was a highlight of that era of WCW television. And Scott Steiner, before he became Big Papa Pump, is credited with popularizing such moves as the Frankensteiner, which is very cool, and the Steiner Screwdriver.
Oh,
holy cow, it's amazing. Amazing. But yeah, never do that move again. Wow. You may also know Rick Steiner is the father of current WWE phenom Braun Breaker. Now, there's an organization out of Oakland, California known as Hood Slam that features edgier, more adult acts. They do a lot of parody characters, among them being Rick Scott Stoner and Scott Rick Stoner, otherwise known as the Stoner Brothers. Ha ha ha. 420 humor. Well, that's not so odd for WWE. You know, they had The Godfather talking about rolling a fatty for that pimp daddy, and X-Pac saying that, you know, your ass was grass and he was going to smoke it. But when Shotsy used to manage the Stoner Brothers, her character was a parody of Missy Hyatt, and her name was Missy Hyatt. Yeah, Missy Hyatt. Well, still better than Terror Rising. Number 5, Kevin Owens. Hey, welcome to the most uncomfortable entry on this list. In professional wrestling, there's a term known as cheap heat. That's when you say something that wouldn't come up in a normal conversation to a certain audience to get them to not like you. Something like, hey, the Mets suck. Yeah, you wouldn't bring that up in New York unless you wanted people to boo you. And not surprisingly, there are equivalents in movies and television, like when a character cheats on their girlfriend or is mean to animals, or, you know, if anybody's racist. This is all code for, this is a bad person, boo them. So maybe it isn't unusual that from time to time a wrestling organization has tried their hand at a storyline with subtle or not so subtle allusions to racism. The WWE certainly isn't immune to this. But Pro Wrestling Guerrilla took it to an uncomfortable level back in 2005 when current AEW announcer Excalibur and current WWE superstar Kevin Owens cut a promo against the Human Tornado and El Generico and dropped some N-words. Yeah, N-words with hard R's. Now, we're not in the business of telling people what to be offended about. We don't think Leonardo DiCaprio is a racist for using that word in the movie Django Unchained, and by all accounts, the Human Tornado himself was the person who originally came up with this angle. But fortunately, all of the parties involved seemed to immediately realize they had gone too far and immediately apologized for their role in the angle. Number 6, Seth Rollins. Oh, wait a minute, Singer Siete. Didn't you do Seth Rollins in the last video? Yes, we did, but fortunately, 7 Wrestler viewer Critic Cat was kind enough to let us know about Mr. Rollins and his time with Cyber Fights. Now, Cyber Fights, as best we can tell, we didn't dive too far into it. We were afraid we might feel certain things. Seems to be a modern version of what used to be known as a partner wrestling. That's where an entrepreneur would make a video, generally very low budget, where usually a pair of buxom women would play fight in someone's living room. There'd be lots of stretching rest holds, a lot of grunting and moaning. I think you're picking up what I'm putting down. Let's just say nobody was watching this because they were moved by the storylines or the fluidity of a wrestling match. Am I being too vague? Feels like I am. Anyhow, Cyber Fights seem to be a modern version of that, but, you know, with fellas. You know, having a good old time in a wrestling ring with no fans in attendance, a lot of rest holds, a lot of moaning and grunting. The strikes are really light. This isn't Singer Siete's thing, but hey, whatever happens between consenting adults, that's their business. But know that there's a wrestler on their roster known as Tyler Black who bears a striking resemblance to a certain visionary, a certain revolutionary, you know, Seth freaking Rollins. And speaking of freaking, those shorts are really freaking tiny. Again, we're not judging. Young up-and-comers need to do what they need to do to get by, make a name for themselves, but we will admit, all of this does make this t-shirt a little bit funnier. Number 7, okay, Gigi Dolan.
No.
Hold up there, Singer Siete. You did Gigi Dolan in the last video too. Yeah, I know, but sometimes in researching these things, you uncover moments that absolutely,
they do be saying that. They do be saying that that Becky be wearing the pants. I didn't say this. They be saying that Becky be wearing the pants, and Seth, he be wearing the the G-string.
So yeah, Gigi Dolan, back when she was known as Priscilla Kelly, force-fed what appeared to be a used feminine hygiene product to her opponent at a suburban fight show.
Crazy.
That should be celebrated. We should be proud of that innovation. But she also had a second gimmick that was arguably worse. Don't you want to know about it? Of course you do. You stuck around this long. You see, the problem with entertainment is you always have to reach new heights. You go from 1 table to 2 tables to 4 tables, and then eventually every conceivable table. It's a vicious cycle. So feel bad for poor Gigi when she made national headlines with her used feminine hygiene product stunt and had to figure out a way to top it. And what did this innovator come up with? Well, I forgot. You forgot about me mentioning draws earlier. See, everything comes full circle. That's right. During the Ultimate Bar Brawl in Atlanta, Priscilla Kelly would proceed to blow chunks, toss her cookies, Ralph, all over her opponent, Eli Everfly. This allowed her partner, AEW's Darby Allin, to roll him up for the victory. And like good old JR says, it ain't ballet. Well, there's our list. Did we forget any other WWE superstars with controversial past? If so, please leave them in the comment section below. Also, like this video, subscribe.
Why does picture look like this? All right, whatever. Yeah, that's weird. The Seth one was kind of weird, I'm not gonna lie. And then this last one with homegirl Gigi, she's nasty. You a nasty ass. But that's gonna do it for this reaction. Make sure to leave some likes and comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you on the next one. Toodles.